Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things motorbikes. I have been riding for a while, mostly on a 125, but that was not great. So today I'm going to do a 1 month review of my SV650s, the 2007 edition. It's fully fed and I am making no sense. Terrific. Anyway, so originally I absolutely hated SVs. Literally about a year ago from now, I hated SVs. I thought they were really not good looking. But that was because I was looking at the ones that don't have the side fairings, which I have nothing against people who might like that bike, but to me, it looks like they've taken the side fairings off to do some maintenance on the bike and forgot to put the fairings back on. Like, it doesn't look like it's supposed to be like that. So those were the only SVs that I ever saw. Like, I literally never saw anything else. So I just didn't really like them until I saw someone who had the fully fed SV650, and I was like, oh, that is very nice, especially when it's in all black. It looks so nice. And I saw H, who I believe also has a fully fed SV650, and his is very, very nice. But in February, or I can't actually remember which month I bought it in. It might have been April. It was like February to April time. I went and looked at the bike I have now. Literally walked into this guy's garage and I was like, oh, oh my god. It was so beautiful, especially in the colour that I have it in, because I just really love that colour. And I bought it on the same day that I went to see it, because it was 3.5 hours away, so I wasn't really gonna drive down there and say no anyway. But it was 2007 and it was only 13,000 miles. So that's pretty incredible. So I'm going to do a review on some things that I know about, but obviously I'm not a professional. I do not know the ins and outs of the mechanics of a bike. I'm just giving you a review based off of what I know and what I feel is good about the bike. So in terms of the size and the weight of the bike, that is incredibly different to a 125, but no shock there. It obviously was going to be heavier. When I'm actually on the bike, I think I prefer that it's heavier because it's actually easier to corner. But when I'm stopped at like on a hill or something, it worries me sometimes. But if the bike starts to tip a little bit, I cannot save it because it is too heavy for me, which is a me problem, not the bike problem. But that is one thing to think about if you're ever thinking about an SV. But to be fair, the most common HE bike that I've seen that most people get is the CBR, and that is heavier than the SV. The CBR 650R is heavier than the SV650 by 15 kilograms. So when I first got it and I first rode it, the acceleration on it is actually crazy. Obviously, I knew it was going to be a lot different to my 125, and my 125 in particular, because my 125 only went 55 miles an hour because it was broken and it would not go over that speed. So obviously getting onto a 650 that goes about 130 miles an hour was a bit of a difference. But just the fact that when you pull the throttle, like it wants to go. Like, it doesn't just want to go slow. Even if you pull it a tiny bit, it's literally like, whoa. It's a great explanation, I know. But I was not expecting that at all. I obviously thought it was going to be faster, but I wasn't necessarily thinking the acceleration was going to be like horrendously different. Not as different as it is. I knew it was going to be better. I knew everything about this bike was going to be better than my last one, but the difference was actually insane. One thing to think about that also kind of connects to the weight of the bike is that the seat is quite wide. I'm 5'7", 5'8", and I can't flat foot it, but I'm very close to flat footing it. Yeah, the seat is comfortable. It is very comfortable, but it is fairly wide, and the seating position is very sporty. you sit forward a lot. It's not too much on the wrists, but it is sportier than like a sports tourer. It is sportier than the CBR 650i. You sit more forward on the SV than you do on the CBR. And I've also noticed that when I've been riding with my friends, the seating position isn't actually all that different to the GSXR seating position. Obviously the Gixxer position is more aggressive, but it's not like a whole lot more aggressive. Like the SV one is the seating position was a lot more aggressive than I was expecting it to be. I am so far forward, but I also think that's because the 125 I had was really skinny and really short. So when I was sat on it, obviously I'm 5'7", 5'8", so I was way too tall for the bike. I could flat foot and I could sit pretty much upright because it was so small. And that's supposed to be like a sportier 125, but it wasn't. So I think the reason that I think it's more of like a aggressive position is because of how much the Ninja was not an aggressive position. When it comes to handling, in my opinion, it is so easy to lean. Like my 125 was so light and so small, and this bike I think is easier to lean because it's heavier and because just it corners so nicely, especially if you obviously counter steer, which makes cornering easier anyway, but you barely have to move the bike to get it around the corner. Like there's honestly not a bad thing that I can say about this bike when it comes to actually riding it. The only thing that I've noticed is that the paint on the back is a little bit more faded than the paint on the middle and the front, but then again, it's a 2007 bike, so it's obviously going to have, and it's not even like a noticeable difference. It was only when I took it to a paint shop. So I was going to go to the paint shop and get a quote on how much it would cost to repaint the bike. And he said that you could notice the difference. And when he pointed it out, you can kind of see it, but like there's barely a difference. So that's the only thing that I've had, like the only thing that I've not even had a problem with, just the only thing I've noticed. That is because it's a 2007 bike. So the only thing that you might need to think about is the paint, but obviously that is a relatively easy fix. When it comes to like joining traffic and overtaking, there is literally no problem. It gets up to speed well, it accelerates well, and in slow speeds it's really easy to maneuver. There's honestly no issue when it comes to like acceleration and that, because I have, if you've obviously watched my motor vlogs, I have overtaken a few people, and the difference between overtaking on a 125 and overtaking on a 650 is such a big difference. Like it's actually insane to me how much easier it is to overtake. Obviously not encouraging overtaking, nobody should do that, and I only ever did it in private areas, but it was so easy to overtake because it just got up to speed so well, and you can get through the gears really easily because you just get up to speed so fast. But overall, it's a massive step up to my 125. Obviously there's more power, I've got more confidence in this bike than I did in my 125, and it actually makes riding fun again. Towards the end of having my 125, I was really starting to hate it because it would jerk when it got to 55. It would obviously not even go over 55 miles an hour, so I couldn't even ride like safely on the dual carriageways. And I was living in South Wales and my family was in the West Midlands, so to get there it was about an hour and a half journey, and it took me so long on my 125. So this 650 has just made me really enjoy riding again like I did when I first got my 125, which is such a big plus for me. So if you are thinking of moving up to an SV650s, or if you are just thinking of moving up to an A2 bike, I'd definitely say go for it. In my opinion, it's one of the best A2 bikes, and it is one of the most underrated A2 bikes. I have had no problems with it. I've only had a puncture, and that was not obviously the bike's fault. That was because of the driveway of my work. So yeah, I'd definitely say go for it. It's the perfect next step, in my opinion, if you were going from your CBT to your A2. Obviously, it's quite a big jump, so if you're not completely confident, then maybe a 650 is too big for you, because the acceleration is a lot different. It has a lot of speed, and it, like, you pull the throttle a tiny bit and it wants to go. So if you're not entirely confident, then maybe go for a smaller cc bike. But if you think that you could do that, then an SV650s, in my opinion, is a very good option to go for. So that is my review. I think I covered most things. I probably forgot a few things because for some reason I feel like I didn't explain myself very well in this video. But if you have any questions about the bike, just comment them down below and let me know what you thought of this video. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Bye.